Hey guys, this is Pooka, and today we're going to be looking at the decks that did very well at the first week of state championships. I have the list of what decks won in the first week, so we're going to go ahead and look at the decks. I'm going to show you what I think these lists will look like. These are not the exact list of the players, but just kind of what I think they probably look like. First of all, let's just start off by saying what decks won how many states. The first deck we're going to look at is Blastoise, which surprised everybody by winning 6 state championships. That is the most, and I gotta say, personally, I expected the Raybor decks to be more popular in the first week of states, but Blastoise happened to win 6 state championships. So that's the first deck we'll look at. So this is going to be what I feel like was a standard list for state championships in the first week. This is a standard strategy. We've seen this quite a bit. You get Blastoise out. Use that Deluge ability to power up your Pokemon. The Pokemon you're going to power up, Keldeo EX is a big one. Secret Sword does 50 plus 20 for each water energy attached to Keldeo. You can do lots and lots of damage with that. The big attacker is Black Kyurem EX. Black Ballista does 200 and then discard 3 energy attached to Black Kyurem EX. We also have the regular Black Kyurem to deal with other Dragon-type Pokemon. Flash Freeze does 100 damage, times 2 against other Dragon Pokemon. It's a non-EX, so it works out very well. We also have an Electrode, has Magnetic Draw. Always make sure you have at least 4 cards in your hand. Very good late in the game when your opponent plays an N against you and tries to stop you from getting that last burst of energy. Well, Electrode just draws till you have 4. So it works out very well with this deck. For supporters, we have 4 Skyla, 3 Professor Juniper, 4 N, and then 1 Colress. You can probably switch a few of these supporters around, but the important thing you have here is Tropical Beach. 3 of these, Stadium card. You put it out there and you draw until you have 7. It ends your turn, but it's very useful on the opening turns to get enough cards for that turn to Rare Candy, which allows you to skip from Squirtle straight into Blastoise. And once we do that, we can start doing all sorts of crazy things. The biggest and perhaps only thing X and Y brought this deck was Professor's Letter, the item card that allows you to search for 2 basic energy cards. This really makes the deck a lot faster. If you can find a couple of these Professor's Letters, all of a sudden you have a ton of energy in your hand and you can start attacking right away. So we run 2 of these, and then, of course, Superior Energy Retrieval is what makes the deck tick. Discard 2 cards and take 4 basic energy from your discard pile back into your hand. That's really what you need to make this deck keep attacking every turn. Now we also have 3 Ultra Ball, allows us to search for anything. 1 Level Ball, search for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less, and then 1 Heavy Ball as well. Search for a Pokemon with a retreat cost of 3 or more, which can get Blastoise or Black Kyurem EX. Now, we also have some cards to deal with specific matchups. The first one is Tool Scrapper. 2 of these will help us against any Garbodor decks. If we can get rid of their tool, we can regain abilities and start using Deluge again. Between these 2, Tool Scrapper and a Dowsing Machine, which allows you to recover a trainer card from the discard pile, we can use Deluge enough times to usually win the game. We also have 2 Pokemon Catcher. This is a card that has started to become more standard in Blastoise decks. It is a coin flip, but, I mean, hey, it still works half the time, and when it does, it's really, really big. Some decks are starting to run Palkia EX, a Dragon-type Pokemon that can run to the bench after it knocks out a Black Kyurem EX. So a Pokemon Catcher helps to target those Pokemon down, and you never know when, catching out an EX can win you the game. Now we may seem a little low on energy with just 8 Water and 2 Lightning, but with these 2 Professor's Letter and the 4 Superior Energy Retrieval, I assure you, this is enough to get you through pretty much any game. So this is the deck that won the most state championships in the first week, Blastoise, surprising a lot of people. Everybody knows it's a very strong deck, but I don't know how many people actually expected it to win that many state championships. And Emboar 1-0. So, go figure. Looks like Blastoise is the better deck for now. Alright, so that is deck number 1. The second deck that won the most state championships, totaling, you could say 3 or 4, are going to be decks revolving around Yveltal EX. So we'll take a look at this one. Alright, so our big attacker here is Yveltal EX. Evil Ball does 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. Very, very strong attack. And, I mean, what else can you ask for in a Pokemon so strong? This version of the deck won 3 state championships. Again, this is not an exact list, just kind of a guess at what I think the decks kind of looked like. There was 3 decks like this that won state championships, and then 1 deck featuring Garbodor instead of some of the other cards we'll see here. I did cover the Garbodor version of the deck in a previous video, so if you want to see that one instead, go back and take a look at that video to see what that might look like. Now this one, of course, revolves around Yveltal EX, but we're going to run a couple non-EX attackers as well. Number 1 is going to be Bouffalant. Has the Gold Breaker attack, 60 plus 60 if the defending Pokemon is a Pokemon EX. Now that's pretty darn good. We can power this up since we're running double colorless energy, since it does fuel Yveltal EX's Evil Ball as well. And we can power this up quickly. We can Dark Patch. Now we can't Dark Patch to Bouffalant, but we can Dark Patch to a Dark Pokemon, and then Energy Switch to move one of those Darkness Energy to the Bouffalant. So we can power this up very quickly. And then against EXs with 170 HP, we can attach a Muscle Band, which will allow Bouffalant to do 20 additional damage, putting that up to 140. And then we use Verbank City Gym in conjunction with Hypnotoxic Laser to get an additional 30 damage. So if we use Bouffalant, Muscle Band, Verbank, and Laser against a Pokemon EX, we're totaling 170 damage, which is pretty darn good. That can knock out a lot of popular Pokemon in one hit, such as this Yveltal EX right here. So Bouffalant gives this deck a lot of strength, and it's a non-EX Pokemon. The other non-EX Pokemon we have are just this regular Yveltal. Oblivion Wing is a nice attack, does 30, and then it's basically like a Dark Patch. Grab a Dark Energy from your discard pile and attach it to one of your benched Pokemon. It's different from Dark Patch since you can go to any type of Pokemon, but same concept. 130 HP basic, doing 30 for 1 and also getting an energy back is pretty good. You might run more of these depending on your playstyle, but this is in the deck. We're down to 1 Sableye. You know, a long time Darkrai decks ran lots of Sableye, but this is a much more aggressive deck, so we only have 1 Sableye in here. We use it for Junk Hunt to recover some resources sometimes. We have 1 Absol EX. We have another Dark Pokemon that can do lots of damage, so might as well play one of these. Mind Jack does 20 plus 20 for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. That can add up very quickly. So those are our non-EX attackers. And we still have 1 Darkrai EX. You know, he's kind of outclassed as an attacker by Yveltal EX now, but the different weakness and also the Dark Cloak ability still finds him a place in the deck. So Darkrai is here to stay. We also have 1 Keldeo EX, since we can use Dark Cloak with Darkrai. Just put a Darkness Energy onto Keldeo, it gets a free retreat cost. We can rush in and retreat. This will really help against any status effects like Poison and Sleep and so on and so forth. So Keldeo EX is pretty nice to have as well. The supporters for the deck are pretty simple. 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N, 4 Random Receiver, and 2 Bicycle. Just an item card to draw until you have 4 in your hand. And then the A spec is going to be Computer Search. Discard 2 cards and search for any card. You could play different supporters in this deck. Some may favor going with cards like Skyla and Colress instead of the Random Receiver and Bicycle, but that is personal preference. Of course, we do have 4 Dark Patch as Energy Acceleration, 4 Ultra Ball to get Dark Energy in the discard pile, and also search for the Pokemon that we need. And we have that nice Professor's Letter as well in this deck to search for energy. We do have 8 Darkness energy to work with, and the 4 double colorless. And also we have 3 Pokemon Catcher. Now again, this is on a coin flip, but this is a very aggressive deck. So being able to catcher out specific targets is very powerful with this deck, especially when you can do such explosive damage with cards like Yveltal EX and the rest of the gang. So this is deck number 2 that had the second most state wins, decks revolving around Yveltal EX. The next one we'll look at are Team Plasma decks. And let's just take a look at this version of the deck right now. 2 state championships were won revolving around Lugia EX. Has the ability Overflow. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack of this Pokemon, take 1 more prize card. So basically, if you knock something out with Plasma Gale, you take an extra prize card. So if you knock out an EX, you take 3 prize cards instead of 2, and that is the main appeal of Lugia EX. We run this alongside 4 Deoxys EX. Power Connect gives 10 more damage to each Team Plasma Pokemon attack. So we can start doing lots and lots of damage. Basically, the idea is with 3 Deoxys EX in play and a Muscle Band, Lugia EX's Plasma Gale is doing 170 damage, which can knock out things like Yveltal EX and Keldeo EX. And just in 1 hit, you get a 3 prize knockout with Plasma Gale. So, very, very strong card right here, and this is really what makes the deck tick. And we also have some role players. Thundurus EX is great with Raiden Knuckle, 30, and then grab an energy from your discard pile and attach it to one of your bench Team Plasma Pokemon. This can be used for energy acceleration or for just energy recovery after a Lugia gets knocked out or something like that. And with Deoxys EX and Muscle Band, this becomes a very powerful attacker as well, especially against Yveltal, which is weak to lightning. We also have Genesect EX for Red Signal, since when you attach a Plasma Energy, it acts as a Pokemon catcher, so we can target down specific Pokemon. A new Pokemon that's been kind of added to these decks is Palkia EX, strictly for its Dragon typing. For 3 energy, we can Strafe and switch to the bench, but if we have 2 Deoxys EX in play, along with a Muscle Band, we're doing 90 damage with Strafe, which allows you to knock out Black Kyurem EX and Rayquaza EX, pretty much every Dragon Pokemon in existence, and you get to switch to the bench. So this is very, very good against Dragon-type Pokemon. We also have that Absol that we saw in the previous deck. Mind Jack is very good in this deck as well, since we get the Power Connect boost in damage. So Absol gets to do even more damage. And then Snorlax is a nice Pokemon as well. We have Block to keep our opponent's active Pokemon in place. And Team Pact is a very heavy-hitting attack. Costs a lot of energy, but hey, when you pull it off, you're pretty much always knocking something out. The trainer cards are kind of interesting for this deck. We have 3 Colress, 4 N, 4 Professor Juniper, 3 Skyla, and then the kind of specific card we have here is Shadow Triad, which allows us to put a Team Plasma card from the discard pile back into your hand. This can be any Team Plasma card. It can be one of the Pokemon. It can be one of your Plasma Energy. Anything that says Team Plasma right here. Or even trainer cards. For example, Colress is a Team Plasma card. So Shadow Triad is very nice. Most of the time it's going to be to get back Plasma Energy, but that is in itself a very, very good cause. We also have ways to search out our Pokemon. Team Plasma Ball, we got 2 of these, and then 1 Ultra Ball. Some people run more of these, you certainly can. It's your ways of finding your Pokemon. We have 4 Colress Machine. This is what makes the deck work, I think. Search for a Plasma Energy and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon. That's your energy acceleration, allows you to power up Pokemon very quickly. We have 3 Switch to get out of the active spot. A lot of these things have high retreat costs. 1 Scramble Switch as the A-Spec card. This is a very, very useful card in this deck. Allows you to just take the energy off your active Pokemon, and then you get to switch to a bench Pokemon and move the energy to the new one. This is very good to power up things in one turn and get a nice surprise. Very good for powering up cards like Snorlax and Lugia EX if you just have stray energy sitting around on your field. Now we also have 2 Tool Scrapper in this deck. Silver Mirror is a very big problem. If your opponent has one attached, you really can't do anything. So you got to run 2 Tool Scrapper to take care of those pesky Silver Mirrors. Also good against opponent Muscle Bands, and also good against Garbodor as well, which would shut off a lot of our abilities. And then the last card we'll look at is Frozen City. This is a card that's probably getting played less now, but the Stadium card, if a player attaches to a non-Team Plasma Pokemon, they take 2 damage counters. This is really good against those Blastoise decks to get some damage on the board. Every time they attach an energy, they're going to take 2 damage counters, and that sets up perfectly for Lugia EX to come in and Plasma Gale, or just something else to come in and finish it off as well. Our energy is pretty simple. 4 Double Colorless, 4 Plasma, and 4 Prism, which provides any kind of energy. Since we have all basic Pokemon, it's going to work all the time. And then 2 Lightning as well. Nice to have a couple basic energy, because this deck really gets hit hard by Enhanced Hammer, which discards a special energy off our Pokemon. So this is the Team Plasma deck. That's what a standard one would look like. Now there was one Team Plasma deck revolving around Kyurem instead of Lugia. So that's a completely different version of the deck. We're not going to take a look at that, but just keep in mind there are different ways to run Team Plasma decks. I think the most popular one, though, does revolve around Lugia EX and taking big chunks of prizes at once. So we have 2 more decks to look at here. First one we're going to look at is, I would say, the biggest surprise win of the weekend, and that is Tool Drop. Believe it or not, this little Trubbish won a state championship. Of course, Tool Drop does 20 damage for each Pokemon tool in play. So you can start knocking out things if there's a ton of tools in play, basically. We just get this little guy powered up and start attacking. The reason we can get so many tools in play is this Sigilyph has Toolbox. It can have up to 4 Pokemon tools attached to it. Pretty simple. We can attach 4 tools to it. We got 4 of those, and, well, that's a lot of tools we can attach. We have 2 Masquerain. Tool Reversal allows us to pick up a tool attached to one of our Pokemon, put it back in our hand, and then we can rearrange things. That's very useful if you want a specific tool to be used once and then picked up and put somewhere else. Masquerain really makes this deck work. I guess what we should look at then is the Pokemon tools, since this is seriously just what makes the deck work. First one and most important one is EXP Share. When your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you can take a basic energy attached to that Pokemon and basically move it to the Pokemon that has EXP Share. This allows you to keep a constant stream of energy going for your Trubbish, so you can keep using Tool Drop. Because let's face it has 70 HP, it's going to get knocked out very easily, and you need to keep energy going since it costs 2 energy to attack with Tool Drop. So 4 EXP Share is the most important one. We also have 4 Silver Mirror. This is very good against those Team Plasma decks. Prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to the Pokemon this card is attached to by your opponent's Team Plasma Pokemon. So you are immune to Team Plasma Pokemon's attacks as long as Silver Mirror is on your Pokemon. So we have 4 of those as well. Now we have 3 Float Stone. This gives your Pokemon no retreat cost, allows you to retreat back and forth from your Pokemon. 3 Muscle Band. This allows you to do extra damage if it's attached to your active Pokemon. Gives you a little more oomph if you do need to, do some more damage if you don't have enough tools in play. We have 2 Rescue Scarf. Sometimes you just start to run out of Trubbish, so you throw a Rescue Scarf on the active one, knowing it's going to get knocked out, so you can have another Trubbish for next turn. And the ace-spec card for the deck is Life Dew. If this Pokemon is knocked out, your opponent takes 1 less prize card. So basically, if they don't have a Tool Scrapper to get rid of this, they are taking no prizes for a knockout on a Trubbish or on anything really. So this can be a game-changing card. Supporters are pretty simple. We have 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N, and 2 Colress, and 1 Elisa, which we don't see very often. Search for 3 Pokemon tools and put them into your hand. Obviously, this has great synergy with Tool Drop since we need a lot of tools. There's also 4 Bicycle, more draw cards to look at. I mean, we can draw until we have 4. A lot of the times you can just kind of play whatever is in your hand, so we can play Bicycle quite a bit. 4 Level Ball as well. Everything in the deck has 90 HP or less, so we can search for everything with Level Ball. Now there's 2 Energy Switch. This may seem a little strange, but sometimes you do get energy just kind of stranded on a Pokemon, like a Sigilyph or a Masquerain that has a random EXP share on it. And sometimes you just need to energy switch to a Trubbish, and it works out pretty well. So we have 2 energy switch as well. And then 1 Super Rod, since we do need to recover Trubbish. There's only 4 of them, and, well, your opponent needs to take 6 prizes to win, so we need some way to get back our Trubbish. Otherwise, we're just going to run out of attackers. Super Rod is our way of doing that. And then it's just 9 Psychic Energy. This was actually the list that won the Ohio State Championship, so this is the only one for sure that I know what's in it. This deck has a lot of problems, number 1 being Garbodor decks, since it shuts off that all-important toolbox ability. It's really tough to deal with those decks, but in the correct metagame, Tool Drop is a very serious and very powerful deck, and obviously that was shown when it won the Ohio State Championships. So that leaves us with 1 more deck here that won the Arizona State Championships. Now this is the one I have no idea about. This list could be absolutely wrong, and I would accept that. I mean, I have no real information on this deck. All I know is it runs these Pokemon. Number 1, Landorus EX. Hammerhead does 30 and 30 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Big, bulky fighting Pokemon. Also has Land's Judgment. 80, and you can discard all fighting energy, and then it does 70 more damage. So Landorus has always been a powerful Pokemon, kind of held down by its weakness to water types, but always a very powerful Pokemon. It has Cobalion EX. Righteous Edge is a nice attack to discard special energy. This is very good against Team Plasma decks. Also good against those new Aromatisse decks that really rely on special energy a lot. And heck, even Yveltal decks use double colorless energy. So discarding special energy can be a very big tool. And 180 HP again, metal Pokemon, and it's just really tough to take down. We also have Zekrom. And we have this giant gold one here. I know it's hard to make out what Pokemon it is, but this is Zekrom. Now this is just used for Yveltal EX. We have Outrage, does 10 more damage. Just 20 plus 10 for each damage counter on Zekrom. Now we're basically saying, come hit me Yveltal, and then we'll hit back even harder with Outrage. Now normally I would say that doesn't work, but we also run Hard Charm. So any attacks do 20 less damage. That actually makes it much more difficult for Yveltal EX to take down a Zekrom. So with that Hard Charm, you're almost always going to take a hit from an Yveltal EX unless it has tons and tons of energy on it. So Hard Charm might be the key to taking down those big Yveltal EX. Of course, we also have Garbodor in this deck. Garbotoxin shuts off abilities when it has a Pokemon tool on Garbodor. This shuts off popular decks like Blastoise and Emboar, and it's just overall a very, very good card. Our other Pokemon tools are going to be 2 Float Stone. Pokemon has no retreat. And then 2 Muscle Band, which we've seen countless times in this video already. So we'll just keep moving on. I gotta say, I really am guessing as to what is in this deck. All I know is the concept, so we're just gonna kind of glance over the rest of it. We have 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N, 3 Colress, 3 Skyla. Seems like a pretty standard supporter line. 4 Ultra Ball to search out our Pokemon, and then a Heavy Ball as well. Of course, Hypnotoxic Laser, along with Burbank City Gym, is going to be very useful to get some explosive damage from our Pokemon. And then I'm going to guess and say it's going to run cards like Max Potion, since we have such high HP Pokemon, and Enhanced Hammer as well to really deal with more special energy discarding. And then Dowsing Machine, as the Ace Spec, can really help us recover some cards. Switch could be nice to get out of special conditions and Escape Rope, as well as I can force the opponent's active Pokemon to the bench and force up a benched Pokemon. For the energy, we just have 4 Fighting, 3 Metal, and then 4 Prism, since we do need kind of a versatile energy that can power up either Landorus or Cobalion EX, and, maybe even power up Zekrom's Bolt Strike sometime. Who knows, that could happen as well. I think that's going to wrap up this deck, and that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this was informative and just kind of gives you an idea of what decks are successful right now and what to expect if you're heading out to state championships. But that's going to be it. Good luck if you are heading to state championships for the second weekend. And that's all I got for you now. So, again, hope you guys enjoyed. I will have some more videos for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.